in this debate as a supporter of the government, but no support can be blind. I cannot therefore support the proposed VAT on independent school fees, whether or not it was in the manifesto. It is immoral and destined to bring about significant social and political damage to my party and to the country. There are many serious worries. For example, the introduction of an education tax, putting us at odds with every country in the European Union and all federal and state law in the United States of America. There's also the serious worry about a blatant breach of the education provision in Article 2 of the first protocol of the European Convention on Human Rights. Unfortunately, Lord Pannick is not amongst us, but we have heard through Lord Alton his views, and he supports entirely what I have just said. But the most worrying feature, my Lords, is the failure properly to assess what will be the likely level of forced pupil migration from the independent to the state sector, an absolutely vital assessment. The VAT proponents haven't revealed their calculations, but the arithmetic is such that any pupil migration going beyond 10% will wipe out any profit for the state and become progressively a burden on the state. Since the VAT proponents are still claiming a profit of between 1.3 and 1.5 billion for the state sector, the assumption has to be they're working on a very low pupil migration, possibly as low as 5%. There are, however, my Lords, other calculations. The October 2022 parent survey by the Independent Schools Council, conducted among 16,000 parents, found that 18.8% of parents were likely to take their children out of independent education. Then in April 2024, a parent survey by the Times newspaper said a pupil migration of 26%, and a preparatory school in Surrey reported the same forecasted 26 migration of pupils. Moreover, the Hume Grammar School in Oldham believe that 50% of their parents will find it very difficult to meet the VAT school fees. This means scaling down the figures as far as it's possible to do. We're risking no less than 80,000 to 108,000 pupils being forced from the independent sector, with all the education disruption and distress this will involve, and with the big burden of new pupils being placed into the state sector. The task, therefore, upon which I am embarked is to persuade my party not to carry this measure further forward. It must be noted that the well-endowed schools only constitute 10% of the independent sector, and the noble Lord Sexton made that point. The axe will not fall on them, although they will be affected, but will fall on the hundreds of independent schools, some very small, throughout the country, who are providing most valuable education to supplement the state sector. Take, for example, the independent schools in Greater Manchester, whom I recently visited, the Hume Grammar School, which I've just mentioned to you, and the Bolton School in Bolton. As I learned, their parents are just working people, employed in health and education, in catering and hospitality, taxi drivers, joiners, carpenters, all making great sacrifices to be able to provide better education for their children. The very people that my party has been pledged to support. My Lords, I will just end by saying that I can only repeat this VAT proposal is wrong, and that any reasonable assessment of the likely pupil migration will provide no benefit to the state, but will be a heavy burden on it. So may I ask my noble friend the Minister and the Government to respond positively to all of these concerns, and as promised by the Leader, I'm just finishing, the Leader of the House, listen to constructive criticism.